game wins and 11 game losses, whereas these teams have about 10 game wins and 20 game losses, and that spread between about a 66% win rate for a top team and a 33% win rate for a bottom team is kind of closer than I can ever remember. There's not your 1-17 Coast or your 1-17 Echo Fox or your 3-25 Velocity in these splits. These teams can play, and now really loser loses a lot in this one because whoever gets jumped over here is probably staying in the bottom for the rest of the split.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough here. So we'll see what happens in the game one draft. Shen, Rengar, and that's not Rengar, Shen, Renekton, and Malzahar, the three bans on the Team Liquid side. LeBlanc, Varus, and maybe Graves. We'll see what Envy want to select for their last one here. But we're starting to see the bans really standardize a lot once again as people are figuring out 7.4 as there's Rengar actually the last ban.
Just in time for patch 7.5, which we're going to be getting next week. Interesting how Team Liquid has prioritized the Camille with Graves still on the table, despite the success I've seen out of Reignover's Graves, and that's an early Zig.
I feel like we're at it again here. Camille for Liquid, but Ziggs Graves snapped off for Envy. Yesterday, they were really fast in their picks for game one.
Yeah, well, I can almost tell you the whole team composition that they want to go with, because we saw it yesterday. If that's a Ziggs bot lane and a Graves jungle, they're going to want a Jace mid lane and a Rumble top lane, and if they could, they'd have a Malzahar support, but they'd probably go with a Braum or a Zyra, just because that's what they've been successful with. And at least Team Liquid has been a team that's vocal about trying to not respond to the opponent team when you're struggling. It's a pretty common mantra for teams that are low in the standings to try and improve. I think that's what we're seeing from Envy here.
I think for both these teams, you just kind of want to play what you know. There's Elise and Ryze selected for Liquid. Almost insta-lock Chase for Ninja, who had a standout game one on it in the win they had in the series versus TSM. So,
yeah,
like we said, pretty planned here for Envy.
Yeah, what can we really say? And it's so similar to what happened in game one against TSM, because this might not be able to fit this explanation in on time.
I'm ready.
So
you got 10 seconds.
Envy's team composition has a bunch of front-loaded damage. When you put Ziggs bot lane, it's burst heavy, but it doesn't have the sustained damage that something like a Caitlyn or Ezreal, or even a Varus or Jhin would, who's a marksman who has repetitive auto attacks. This is better to do against a team who can't fit a tank in. When you go Camille top lane, you're almost always tunneling into a squishier split push type team, which can actually get smashed by the upfront damage of Envy, because you can't actually build the tankiness reliably, and therefore that upfront damage, instead of chunking a tank to half health, actually just wins the whole team fight. So already, I like how EnVyus started this draft, even if it's similar to what they did yesterday.
I mean, they also reacted in a similar way versus TSM's composition, so certainly a lot of parallels to draw from here. There's the Rumble ban, though, for Team Liquid, so cutting down a lot of the power over on Envy. I think Ziggs is another thing you compare with the Jace. You almost never want to take Jace and only have AD because you run into too many problems, so Rumble Jace is good. I think Ziggs Jace is kind of a reasonable thing when you don't get Rumble, which in this case they won't.
Very true, and the nice thing that Envy has on their side is they have the opportunity to put Seraph top lane on Jace, even if most people are playing at mid lane. And since they have the magic damage in the bottom lane, they could still go like something with Talon or Zed if they really want to. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Envy tries to counter with, even though it is hard to play Assassins against Ryze in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Liquid have taken out Echo as well, wanting to make sure Ninja doesn't have that option for another split-pushing champion, potentially. Looks like maybe a tank is in the works for Seraph, though. There's a Poppy pick for Envy.
Yeah, so that will be the Poppy top lane. A lot of the Poppy interactions against Camille are Poppy favored as far as being able to heroic charge Camille out of her hookshot stun, and also being the steadfast presence, the same type of thing. So a lot of things Poppy can do against Camille, and a slightly more standard team composition, the fact that they actually have a tank. Still, though, being able to fit in the all-physical damage lineup and still have their magic damage coming out of the bot lane.
Kind of wondering where they're going to go with their support pick, though. But Karma is locked in for Liquid, who is kind of rising pretty quickly as one of the best supports. I think Lulu's been in vogue this week in particular, but Karma's been consistently good as there's a Jhin to finish off Liquid's team comp.
When you actually look at it, I feel like this could be a blunder for Envy. Karma Ziggs is kind of the lane as far as being able to shove in your opponent, and there was no need to pick the Poppy very early.
Yep.
They are able to put up a pretty nice protection line with the Braum, which is what they did play with the Ziggs previously, so that can still be good. I just feel like the Karma Ziggs, as far as the team wanting to fully shove up, will be more advantageous, because now they're just kind of having Ziggs down there for the sole purpose of magic damage and losing out on his shove advantage.
Yeah, and it does kind of seem like when you look at this Poppy pick from Envy that sure, it is good into Camille, it's a very solid tank, but it doesn't really fit the like upfront damage, burst you down, try and snowball a mid-game comp that we saw from Envy in their series yesterday. So could be a bit of a misstep there in draft. I mean, they certainly weren't getting Rumble. Liquid quickly identified the piece they didn't want to give away and took it, but EnVy kind of stitched together the best looking version of that composition they could, having to make some sacrifices.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about Team Liquid's composition that much either. They have a pretty solid pick composition, although they do lack a lot of that tankiness we talked about. Having any type of shielding to augment the Camille initiations is very beneficial, and it's going to be heavily about whether or not Reignover and Doublelift can set up the picks with the Elise Jhin synergy.
And we did see Doublelift's Jhin in his first game. It looked good, even though Liquid didn't pick up a win in that series. So again, Doublelift will be very practiced on this sort of champion. And it is interesting to see Piglet continually go back to Ryze. He's an aggressive player. He was as a bot laner as well. I kind of prefer more of his Cassiopeia Ahri, things you can make a few more plays on. Ryze is more of your consistent damage team fighter, but Piglet's going to be flashing towards people. So he seems to like the champion. It is very powerful. We'll see what he gets done here.
Exactly, and something we saw from Piglet's Rise against Cloud9 was a very strong laning phase into a lackluster teamfight phase. And I think that's something we can expect to take some time to smooth out. When you're first picking up a role, especially since Piglet has played a lot of mid lane in solo queue, he can learn the laning interactions because those are very repeatable between the solo queue environment and the competitive environment. It's just the team fighting in these LCS games is so much different than what you're going to get in solo queue. He hasn't built up the muscles yet to team fight in these environments, and I think that's where you're seeing the most weakness from Piglet as a mid lane LCS.
Yep, makes sense as well, because Liquid, again, kind of a new roster for them as we are onto Summoner's Rift for game one here. TL versus EnVy. It might not be a pretty looking series, but it's certainly a critical one for both teams. We'll see if EnVy can steamroll yet another game one, and again, we'll be continually looking at that conversion rate all series long. Liquid showed some strength, you know, the initial swap for Piglets looked good. Doublelift coming in also looks decent, at least in the early landing phase for both of them. So can Team Liquid continue to rapidly improve? Because that's what they're going to need.
Yeah, exactly. And they've even talked about how playoffs would be nice, but really Team Liquid just wants to stay in the LCS. They know this hasn't been a strong split. You can imagine EnVy is the same way as both of these teams are sitting at 3 and 10. And the way it works is seeds 10 and seeds 9 end up in the promotion tournament with a chance of being relegated, whereas 8 and 7 are safe, and then 6 and above go to playoffs. So really, it's about improvement, and being able to pick up these games is of utmost importance.
Yep, the start is, of course, to get out of the bottom, so we'll see which team can break that here. Looks like both junglers are going to be starting on the Raptors. Seeing almost exclusively Raptor starts, and good help there from EnVy. Lyra actually getting a ton of help from both Seraph and Ninja. And I think Reignover got a little bit, but not quite as much.
Yeah, I was looking to see if Lyra shared any experience accidentally with Seraph, but he did not, so worked out quite well for EnVy. Pretty much the fastest play you can have for a Graves.
Yep, and Seraph not going to waste any time here. Makes it for the minion wave. Lolo does as well. And we'll see how this matchup works out. I mean, Camille, we have seen, I think, some very different Camille games. I think Haunter in a series yesterday versus EnVy showed us the good and the bad. So we'll see if Lola can get things snowballing. Because if Camille gets ahead, she generally stays ahead.
Exactly, and it's very similar just to the archetype of character, with Camille being a diver, but maybe even a little bit more pronounced because she can get in from such a large distance. However, if she's falling behind, she's just going to be weak, squishy, and Poppy can chase down extremely well. So a very snowballing matchup that will probably have a lot of jungler intervention to try and tilt it.
Reignover on the blue buff now. We did see Doublelift and Matt briefly. It's nice to see them play a bit more aggressively. That was one of the downfalls in some ways of Piglet and Matt before as a duo, but Doublelift is a strong aggressive laner. I think Matt maybe just had a bit more comfort back. Seraph in the meantime, though, taking a little too much harass here in the top lane, but does have some potion charges to drink through.
Yeah, absolutely. Lorlo has the more pronounced wave clear early on in the game. Seraph playing it close to the chest. Poppy has some pretty great early armor scaling as long as he can not fall too far behind in these early moments.
Looks like Lyra's actually already gone back. Reignover continuing to clear through his jungle, so it does have level 4 and the double buffs. Going to run in here towards EnVy's red buff, but we know there's nothing in there. Reignover instead just happy to get some vision down and maybe check for a camp, or even line up a dive here.
I mean, he's level 4, which is pretty power farmed at this point. And Seraph is low. Here we go.
Dive's going to start. Reignover takes one turret hit that he didn't need.
Not a great start.
Seraph needs to keep moving around. Cocoon's going to miss. W up for Seraph. Reignover actually going to get slammed to the wall by Seraph, and now the Repel's going to have to reset it. Seraph escapes very easily.
Wow, that was an ugly turret dive by Lorlo and Reignover. The steadfast presence is one thing because not only does that prevent the hook shot, it also prevents Elise from doing the spider form Q, which Rainover tried anyway while the Steadfast Present was up, and then Seraph just got the wall stun. So a very near disaster, but no Lyra in the area to get a counter gank kill, which would have been pretty easy based on how much damage Rainover took. But well played by Seraph.
Yeah, it did have to burn his flash, but at least gets away safely. Rainover conserves his, so we'll see if he maybe looks for a revisit. But I think at this point he's happy to maybe farm it out. In fact, Lyra is more than happy to, and he knows with Rainover being towards the top, he's going to look to try and invade this bottom side of the jungle.
Yeah, and once again, the story for Envy this year has been they have had a good early game, and so much of that is about Lyra and his ability to read the enemy jungler and outplay him early. Was not able to read that early dive by Rainover, wasn't punished for it, and we're going to see if he can now punish as they go mid.
Lyra getting Cocoon. Piglet actually going to tie him up. There's Burst Blood for the Rise.
Caster Curse, baby. As soon as I say Lyra's been having the good early games, Piglet just had mid priority while Lyra was doing an aggressive counter jungling pattern and gets completely jumped on by both of them. That's a great start for Piglet.
Early back for Ninja, actually, for the tier. In fact, both of them went back for those early mana items, so Ninja wasn't even there to try and assist as Hakuo is going to get snared up here in that bottom lane. Double lift. Still trying to keep them off the wave. He's 10 CS ahead right now, but Apollo should be able to get some from range with those Qs. See if he falls any further behind as Ninja going to get locked up now by Piglet. Piglet really on point, just kind of catching people in those little transitions between the lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, even yesterday, he got about 3 or 4 solo kills across the series against Jensen, who has been the top performing mid laner of the split. We're going to watch this one more time. This definitely is not a solo kill, but the ward was over the wall, which spotted Lyra, and Piglet just cuts off his retreat path. Pretty simple rune prison into a cocoon that's flashed over the wall by Rainover, so great execution there by Team Liquid to close down the gank and not really give him any escape options.
A little too aggressive there for Lyra, perhaps, as TP back into the top lane for Lolo. Did get his Sheen, does have some refillable potion and a control ward, so going to be feeling healthy, and a quick Ninja Tabi for Seraph should make this lane a lot easier. Seraph looking good in the CS department as well, so Lolo not running away with the lane just yet. Bottom lane seems to be where some of the problems are. Apollo almost gets snared up, but they're actually going to fire back. Good satchel onto Matt, who's low on mana. Apollo trading nicely.
Yeah, and to be clear, I think that Team Liquid should be expected to win this lane based on the matchup, as long as they're not trading in too many large minion waves like they just did there. The shove advantage can actually be in the side of the Jhin and the Karma since they win trades against these Ziggs, so they were very aggressive right there, and Matt did just go to River. That's why Lyra's coming down, but once again, good wards by Team Liquid.
Yeah, everything's covered here for TL. Matt's little expedition ensures that. They know Lyra, or very much suspect Lyra is hiding in the brush. He's in, but he's not going to hit the recall button. Rainover, though, in for the counter gank, but Lyra is going to stick around for a little while longer. A little tricky for TL without having vision of the brush. Matt's going to walk in, see him, take a little bit of harass, but actually maybe too much. That's damage. Heal is down there for double lift to try and save him.
I'm a little perplexed there why Matt saved his flash so long and still never used it, having to exhaust and heal when as soon as he sees the Graves, if he just flashes immediately, it's just the one summoner spell. Flash does have the longer cooldown than exhaust and heal, but this essentially means they can't win all-in trades until those summoner spells are back.
Yeah, and again, the CS lead is nice here, but looks like a revisit coming for Lyra. Matt's next ward now going to spot him again. And Rainover is still on this side, so tracking this jungler here, Lyra just a little bit behind on all these players, kind of getting caught. Although Matt is low, and that's not a good recall spot.
Good spot. He does have flash.
Could be a bait. He's going to try and snare, and that's a flash out for Lyra. Jhin ult, you could steal it. Cocoon going to land in there as well. Lyra goes down to Rainover.
Oh my goodness, he was so juicy down there. Beautiful bait at the end of the day. Double Lift had just hit level 6 and was able to support that with Curtain Call, and Rainover makes another gank work.
That's why he burned the double summoners, Jet. Looks even juicier. Lyra stays around too long.
Planned.
Exactly.
Like, I got the flash if I really need it.
Well, Shockfall's going to miss there from Ninja. Piglet does have a Seeker's Arm Guard, so itemizing intelligently here. Looks like Ninja is doing the tier build again. We don't see this from every Jace, but Ninja, I believe, has been the one, at least in the NALCS, to still favor kind of the older school Jace build.
Yeah, you do run into some pretty heavy mana problems if you don't do it, but people have learned how to manage without it. However, at least he feels pretty confident against Piglet's Rise, knowing Piglet is itemizing a little bit of armor that's going to slow down Piglet's power spikes as well. So Ninja feels confident, stacking up for that Murmur.
Yeah, just Piglet is shoving out the wave here. Rise doesn't want to do too much interacting, just shoves the waves in, let Ninja deal with it, and then goes off to get his blue buff now, as Rainover is there to escort him over. How very generous of the jungler. So Piglet should feel more than happy in his lane situation. Other than that, I mean, CS lead for Doublelift, 10 CS lead for Lolo, and Ninja with a CS lead in his particular lane. I mean, this game is very even. Gold is up for TL after those 2 kills, but only 1,000 gold isn't too bad for the early game.
Yeah, and a pretty substantial CS lead in the mid lane for Ninja. He's done a great job of keeping the pressure on Piglet, even though Piglet was able to pick up that 1 kill. Lane would be a lot worse if Piglet was unable to pick that one up. His gold is actually even.
Woo! That's all from Apollo. He's canceling Doublelift's back. He has a mountain of gold to go and spend. He's approaching 3K, given that he's been sitting here and farming. So Doublelift really needs to go back and spend his money.
Yeah, he doesn't. He probably should realize that there's a ward where he's trying to recall. Can he weave the bouncing bomb over the wall?
Oh, he can. Oh, it just hits. And now he's on top of the wall trying to recall.
I don't think there's anything left to harass him with. So he should be fine.
Pressure.
But that's a long delay.
That's funny. Well, he's got a full Ghost Blade now, so it's well worth the wait. Picks up a pair of boots, grabs a control ward, and now going to wander back. Ranover's in here. He's like, I know where this ward is. Doesn't have a sweeper, though, so just going to take down the Krugs instead.
Well, a good ward.
Yeah, really good ward for Envy.
For sure.
A lot of value.
Oh, my goodness. And Matt's just like, I wonder if there's wards here. Nope, they were behind you.
No, that's but again, TL looking good in that bottom lane.
Oh, so much value.
I mean, Rainover has been down here for a while, so that's 2-3 minutes of effective coverage there. This Team Liquid are actually going to get some more vision down deeper into Envy's jungle. There's one at that Blue Wolves intersection that people love. Seraph just slaps down this control ward. Having a fine old time farming up against Lolo, who has got 2 of his 3 Trinity Force components all done now.
Yep, and just building up towards Sunfire Cape, early armor stacking would not be too surprising. That's going to be a little tricky, though, when he runs up against an Elise and a Rise, since that's going to be magic damage and a lot of unreduced crowd control, since he has gone with that Ninja Tabi.
Piglet unafraid here, does drop his blue buff, but Ninja tracking him, making sure Rise can't get too much done. TL instead will actually start the Drake here. Envy did get their backs in. Apollo almost has his Morellonomicon finish, but Doublelift is zoning Hakuho away with just his shots, and Rainover's going to join down now. Don't know if Envy are here in time to try and contest for this, although Matt lost a lot of health tanking that dragon.
Yeah, the Cloud Drake is the highest damage Drake, so Matt took a lot of unnecessary damage, and it's going to lead to a bit of a fight here.
Doublelift, that's not what you want to be. Ulti comboed in there from the Braum and the Ziggs, but still living for a little while longer. Flash out of the bomb, but Lyra blows him away. Matt goes down to graves.
And that kill is on Matt. He started the Drake about 5 seconds early and lost several hundred health that allowed them to close in on that kill. Now Ninja...
Right over here again. Great Cocoon. That should be another combo out. Ninja flashes the wall to safety. Piglet will not chase.
Yeah, the pressure's not going to relent in the mid lane, though. Lyra and Hakuo still looking to roam up. Piglet's going to stay aggressive.
Yeah, almost 2 for 2 there on the Piglet Rainover mid lane kills, but instead Lyra going to cover this lane and just going to have to go back. And now Rainover's back up to it in top lane, booking it with tier 1 boots.
Yeah, if they can land their Cocoon as well as the hook shot, they have roughly 3 seconds of stun to work with, but Seraph is not squishy by any means and not very low. It would be a tough dive.
I've seen this one before.
There's the
Did
Cocoon.
not work out. Hookshot landing Cocoon is great there and the ultimatum's in. Piglet roam up top to try and finish the job, and Lolo takes out Seraph.
Yeah, and he just speeds up his return to the jungle. Thank you very much. Nice gank. That's the fear we had for Seraph with the Ninja Tabi, is that he'd get hit by that Cocoon in the Rune Prison and not be able to continue his retreat. But 3 people there made the gank relatively easy, and that's how Piglet transitioned some of the map advantage he gained off the fight in the bot side.
Yeah, Piglet thinking about staying, but instead Lolo will just get pressure down towards this turret. Looks like no tower will be taken off this exchange, but Lolo going to be happy to have a kill under his belt and moving quickly towards that Trinity Force. I mean, Lolo, he's trying to poke it down and stay a little longer, but I think Team Liquid realize they don't want to overstay. Doublelift taking a lot of poke now, though, and that turret's getting in satchel charge range for Apollo.
Yeah, this first turret's going to be very important. Just looking at that fight that erupted down at the Drake area, Matt, very low, pretty much just from the Cloud Drake, and man, Doublelift saw the play onto Apollo, but Hakuho and Apollo saw a better one back, and from a mile away, that collateral damage comes through to finish off Matt.
I almost wonder if that was bounce damage after hitting somebody else. I think Rainover maybe killed Matt there, but it was going to be close. Oh, it explodes on the end.
Yeah, the collateral
never
damage
mind.
will explode at max rank if it doesn't hit someone and then still spray. So it's a pretty long range
All
spell.
right, never mind. That's a dead Matt. And there, as you said, taking the Drake was the real part of the issue, so not even Rainover can save him from that one. Double If though has gone back. Now a BF sword's in the inventory, so he's feeling a lot better about his overall damage. Kind of curious to see where he goes. Seen a lot of different gym builds. Now the Edge of Night has received some nerfs. Lethality is there every now and then, but yeah, this turret's going to go down. This is the power of Ziggs. First turret to Envy.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that does stem from the recalls they interrupted on Double Lift early, giving them a lot of chip damage. But despite having the Karma in the lane for Team Liquid, they cannot match the shove long term. That's value right there. I credit Apollo and Hakuho here, even in CS as well as taking first turret. Very impressive.
Decent amount of attention there as well from Team Liquid, with Rainover being there for so long. So well played by the duo. We'll see if Ziggs can get anywhere else and try and knock down some more turrets. He's finished his Sork Shoes, and the Morello Nomicon is now done as well. Had a lot of gold to spend after taking that first turret and getting the bonus gold. So things looking up for Envy as they've even the game back up. 3-1 up in kills still for TL. They do have that Cloud Drake also, but gold lead kind of back to where Envy want it. And we've actually seen them play a little slower in a lot of these games and still be okay. It's when they get mid to late that things start to look a little worse. But their team does have some time to really break open a portion of this game. And look, this Ziggs is kind of an easy way to do that.
Exactly. I mean, yes, these teams have a lot of flaws. That is why they're in last place, generally speaking. But I really do believe that these teams are capable of winning games in the North American LCS. As their overall game win rates are around 30%. And even then, having 3 match wins is not as bad as we've seen a lot of the lower tier teams. So there's this mindset that these guys can adapt because they've been able to pick up these game wins, that they can still pull things together and actually make some proactive plays, and they're going to need it in this game. Even gold, 15 minutes in, relatively low action, and plenty of league left to be played. Yeah,
minute 35 or so to the Infernal Drake, so for either team to look at that objective. Piglet misses a Q, meaning they splits a little, but Motivators is now done for Piglet, so he's ramping up swiftly on the rise despite being behind Ninja. Ninja has finished his first big item in Edge of Night and still has the tier stacking up alongside those Mercury Treads. So definitely look for Envy's kind of mid-game power to show itself a bit here if Envy can kind of find the right angles on these rotations. Lolo there with his Trinity Force. Choose called issues as Piglet's coming down as well. Looks to set up Lolo. He's going to start the dive off. Piglet locks him down already. He's going to try and dodge out of the ulti. Very nice from Seraph. Gets Lolo out of there.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the game for Team Liquid. It is a 1-3-1 style team composition. They have a strong split pusher in Camille, and Ryze can roam a lot thanks to Realm.
Oh, no.
But when you make a play on the bottom side of the map, you've got to be careful back on the top side.
Control ward there for Envy, almost costing Rainover his life. Realm Warp in, Lolo zips over, finds Ninja with the Hextech Ultimatum, but gets Thundering blowed out. Not sure what happened there. Edge of Night. That's awkward.
So, very awkward, actually. Lorlo has many ways to actually break the Edge of Night shield if he wanted to lock him down, but either didn't see the Edge of Night channel on him, or Ninja had completed it just as Lorlo cast it, but I was pretty sure it was there early, and Lorlo should have burned it with a different spell.
Well, instead, Ninja gets away scot-free, although he thinks. But I do like the attempt there with Ryze and the Realm Warp. I think Piglet and Lolo are a pretty good tag team for locking somebody down in a side lane. We saw a lot of Camille not even killing people, just tying them up for so long in her ultimate that you can have another teammate get there to complete a gank from a very long distance.
Exactly. You don't even need to be able to 1v1 the tank. You just need to be able to get your second person there before the opponent can. And that's why Camille can be so good in a 1-3-1 composition.
Infernal Drake is up, by the way, so Envy, despite having the speed, try and have some vision of this starting, but Team Liquid are first to the area. Envy in position to defend, though. But he's going down quickly, in fact, too quickly. Rainover not even going to use the fight that I don't think he has, but Double If is going to get stunned. Lyra, big ultimate, and the exhaust won't save him. Now Matt's going to get chased down. As Apollo's busy taking down turrets, Envy getting a big trade off of this, and Matt is going to go down as well. Seraph gets a last auto and picks up the double.
And that's huge as far as being able to counter the split push, but fight's continuing mid.
Rainover low. Lolo takes out Apollo on the other side. Looks like top lane's where that action is, but Ninja and Rainover going to walk away slowly.
All right, this game's just got a little bit crazy. How could Apollo die to the Lorlo up in the top lane? Lorlo still has his ultimate even, as far as all that goes. And then when you look at the play after the Drake, Double If just kind of wanders down away from his team because he saw a minion wave, walks right into a trap from Envy. So despite picking up the Drake, Team Liquid runs into a trap.
Again, bringing a little bit of that solo queue flavor as Lolo takes out a turret. So an overall trade for that objective, actually 2-for-1 turrets in favor of Envy, committing Apollo to continue to split push down a lane. Seraph's going to run in. Don't think he's going to find Lolo in time, but he'll take out this control ward instead. And things will reset back to normal-ish.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how Seraph does now picking up those 2 kills. Being able to equally scale in gold when compared to the Camille. We're going to watch this again, though. Doublelift actually should have probably just walked with his Elise and his Rise on the other side, but then Apollo was out of mana trying to shove out this wave, and Lorlo, he's just going to run him down. Oh, he flashes close. Apollo heals, and then he'd still have the hook shot if he needs it. Really easy kill there for Lorlo.
Insane amount of damage there from the Camille. And with that teammate now completed for Lorlo, damage is only going to continue to get higher. EnVy, though, invading onto the red buff of Team Liquid, should be able to take this down. Smite's there, and that goes over. Piglet gets the blue buff back on the other side. So lots of trading here. Teams really just frantically playing around opposite sides of the map, and we have seen EnVy play some very bloodthirsty games. I feel like they do thrive in the chaos sometimes.
Yeah, they definitely live in it. So
that's true. I guess they better thrive.
Yeah, they're not surviving very well in this chaotic world so much of the time because they're usually the ones face checking, and I think that's why they've tried to slow down their play a little bit. It hasn't necessarily reaped rewards yet, but they are working on it, so to speak. That is actually the story in almost every post-game EnVy thread you'll read is, man, EnVy will be a pretty good team as long as Ninja and Seraph can stop the random face check deaths. But those threads were being created in week 2. We're in week 7 now, and there's the same threads being created. They need to be able to fix this problem. And the only reprieve they'd have in this one is that the fact that they are up against another last place team, so that the fact that they don't have a monumental goal lead doesn't just automatically disqualify them from victory, which kind of has been the case. Look at this average goal to 20, plus 767 for a last place team. What is happening in the mid and late game for EnVy? It has not been good.
For Liquid on the
so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, for Liquid on the other side, also not the best looking stats. This is creative though from Piglet, looking for a flank. Hako cocooned up. And now Jin Ultimate's going to be committed. Ninja is the target if they can find him. Piglet just wailing away a Mac, taking a decent amount of damage. Dive not going to be there. Seraph TP's in to save the day. And now Piglet getting exhausted. EnVy again just going to turn it around. Double ult there from Seraph. Good as Ninja just lets loose Apollo. Looking for the shutdown, but the Poppy goes down to Rise. Now Ninja still chasing in once Rainover, but Doublelift did a lot of damage with that false shot. That was a wonky trade. 2 for 2 in the bottom lane as people TP in everywhere.
Yeah, kind of crazy. It looked like Team Liquid was dead to rights there as Seraph teleported in because Lorlo couldn't even join that fight. If Lyra can take this mid lane turret, it would be advantage EnVy, but we might see a duel here.
I mean, Lola, I think we'll go in for this if Lyra gives him an opportunity. 2 levels up on the jungler as Camille is a pretty good spot for Lolo to be, but Lyra smartly backs away. Turret will stay up now for Team Liquid. And this one's devolving.
Yeah, I mean, Piglet jumps in behind the turret with minions, and it was Team Liquid that goes for the dive, but the Braum blocks so much of this, and then Seraph jumps in for the wall stun, and right here, EnVy have won. And when you have Ziggs coming down in what looks like a 4v3, you think it's easy, but Seraph and Doublelift and Rainover just burst Seraph so hard, he has no magic resistance, and most of that burst was magic damage. So they were able to delete him very quickly and equalize the fight.
Yeah, the Infinity Edge from Doublelift. I don't think he had it in that last little fight, but he now does, and did an awful lot of damage with that 4th crit. Will only get better as the game goes on. So, I mean, Team Liquid, again, seem to be pretty happy just to be playing their side lanes, letting Lolo and Piglet split push, and confident in the 3 they have now to collapse quicker and start those fights. I mean, the Cloud Drake and Infernal Drake, if you're going to play this kind of League of Legends, those are probably the 2 Drakes you'd want to start off with.
Yeah, move fast, do a lot of damage.
Another Cloud coming up as well. 50 seconds till that one as Lolo finally gets TL back in turret parity. Taking down the bottom outer turret. Strangle popped over. Spots Piglet there for the EnVy side. And these 2 teams are... I mean, I want to know what the total champion proximity is this game between these 2 teams, because they have been awfully close, I think, for the entirety of this game, just consistently threatening to either push down or more often than not start a fight.
Yeah, game's kind of on a knife's edge here. The 1-3-1 does seem to be accumulating pressure for Team Liquid, especially as Lorlo continues to build more and more damage. This will be interesting, though. Seraph sees him.
He's going to start a fight. He's got 2 items here, Seraph. Kind of feeling it. Lolo's just going to zip away. Seraph's going to take his Grump away, so good bit of bonus gold there for the Poppy. But Lolo, at least currently, I think he's got some gold to spend. Yeah, has 1k in the bank, so we'll go and spend that now. But doesn't look like he's really challenging the Poppy at the moment. Ninja getting dove. Piglet thinks better of it. Ninja pops the Edge of Night back on, so TL going to have to wait if they want to make that play. Instead, they'll fall back down. Looks like Lyra's going to start the Cloud Drake, and this should be a comfortable solo for Graves.
Yeah, Very deprioritized Cloud Drake there for Team Liquid. It does depend on teams a lot of the time, what type of Drakes you prioritize. Gonna go on a bit of a tangent here. They thought maybe the Baron was being done. Goes to show you the lack of vision that EnVy usually ends up playing with.
I feel like that shows you the type of game this is. If
Yeah.
they're checking Baron with Zigzalt.
At 24 minutes, like, man, I guess they didn't have other ways to check because they really have poor vision on that side of the map, and Lyra had just taken the Drake. Wow. But just kind of to speak to Drakes anyway, I was looking at some Drake stats from the LCK with SKT and KT Rolster, so the first and second place teams in Korea. And SKT actually has a very high percentage of controlled Cloud Drakes, higher than their other Drakes. And to me, that says they value all Drakes equally, but many teams devalue Cloud Drakes. So that's kind of what feels like SKT's philosophy on the matter. Then I looked at KT, and their Cloud Drake percentage, despite their overall Drake percentage being like 80% of Drakes in games KT gets, their Cloud Drake percentage was like 50%. Because they just don't care about that one. And that's teams like KT are the reason that SKT's Cloud Drake percentage is so high. So I feel like as those are the two best teams in Korea, there is still debate on whether or not the Drakes are worth taking. But I think we see where TL stands. They just kind of gave that one over.
Yeah, they had one, they're like, all right, you can have the other one. I don't want the next one, and I don't think anyone's going to touch the third one, perhaps, as that's our next Drake. TL, though, sweeping vision out, doing the right thing. Matt actually finding Ninja on the red buff. Doesn't complete the tether, but Rainover steals the red away from Jace. Ninja would have loved to have that one. Instead, Lolo and Seraph are doing battle. Goodbye, Lolo. Kind of see some of the positives you get in the 1v1 as Poppy versus Camille. Lolo going to have to try again.
You can break the Hextech ultimatum by hitting the Camille out of it. It's another one of those interactions that can be considered Poppy favored, but the scaling definitely feels Lolo favored right now as he's just diving.
Straight up tower diving here. Good flash from Seraph, but Lolo follow flashes.
Whoa,
Slam into the wall. Might actually make it work for Seraph. Hook shots there. Lyra takes him out, and Apollo doesn't get the snipe, but nice save from EnVy.
Yeah, definitely not a clean ending to that dive for Lorlo. He had the upper hand, but that flash was highly questionable because he didn't follow it up with damage and put himself right in position to get wall stunned by Seraph. Flash to the right side of him.
Oh, now Piglet baiting for Rainover? I don't think so. EnVy have too many members around the Baron area. So Piglet, again, postured aggressively. Going to have to think a bit more about that one. EnVy, though, now are the ones in possession of vision over the Baron, so they've started it.
Yeah, Lorlo down for another 20 seconds, but it's pretty early and they don't have that much Baron damage, so it's just a bait for fight.
Looking for something. I think they want Piglet, not going to get tagged though. Ulti goes through everybody else. Matt slowed, but Seraph still chasing in. Maybe EnVy should have stayed on Baron because that was a very easy disengage there for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and you always have to wonder what the risk is of staying on Baron because it is pretty early in the game and a Jhin ultimate could have just opened up and now they're looking to get it turned around. Lorlo,
does he want
where's
the kill
that
or
hook
the
shot?
turret? Piglet's actually up here as well, so Lola's going to start with the turret. Apollo going to clear out almost all of the wave though, as Piglet has caught Hakuho and Seraph, but EnVy first to the scene. I'm going to keep moving forward. Ninja trying to climb on the other top side. Seraph finds Piglet there. Good slam up, gets two. Exhaust onto Lyra. Piglet over the wall actually flashed in there. It's actually still dealing damage. Now Baron, he's gotten angry. Apollo's going to get the kill onto Piglet. And Jin's going to try and find a few snipes, but Seraph's going to eat the rest of them. This is a chaotic game of League of Legends.
Yeah, this is a slobber knocker if I've ever seen one. Team Liquid and EnVy, even though the kills aren't that high, feel like they've been fighting forever. Still the outer mid lane turret alive as well as Team Liquid tries to rotate down.
For both teams as well, and looks like that's going to stay true for at least a little while longer. EnVy still around to defend. Nobody wants to back down, chat.
No, and nobody will until the game is over.
And
200 gold difference, 28 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and I think the Lola's tower dive is kind of indicative of this game as a whole. But we'll watch this fight again before we get back to that.
TL on the retreat. Double lift his mid lane this whole time, so Team Liquid knows they kind of have to run away. And Piglet could have disengaged, but this is kind of the mid lane greed coming in. Baron's hitting him too, and he just gets barraged over the wall by Apollo, so that death on Piglet could have lived by simply backing away, but that is not
Piglet
how
style.
they are choosing to play this game.
No, certainly not. I mean, Piglet is a very headstrong player, so I think mid lane has certainly opened up a lot more freedoms for the man. I think he's been overstepping some of his boundaries in his new role, but I mean, TL do kind of need some proactivity, so that's good from the Piglet side. Rainover, though, is caught in the jungle, knocked up by Seraph, but flashes out to safety. Redemption there as well, just in case, from Matt, and the mid-outer finally falls Apollo just in there to detonate it. Does manage to take it down.
Good flash by Rainover to stay alive. Nice opportune pressure by Apollo to sneak that turret in the mid lane. Now they're going for Baron once again. They're spotted though.
Yep, good little...
I don't think they can finish it.
They might try. Gonna hold on actually and try and tank it up a little longer. Now they realize they need to back away, although they still want to go for it here.
Taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, disengage finally coming. Apollo with a decent ult. Almost takes out Matt. Piglet on the front line also taking a big amount of damage, but the Zhonya's will save him from the Graves ulti. Not enough to get him out of it though, as Apollo now on a killing spree takes down the Rise. EnVy still chasing. Acceleration Gate's going to move them forward. Here's Double If though, trying to snipe down Seraph. Hako is the first one. Lyra gets tagged on the other side. Going to still try and shoot them down. Seraph eats the crit bullet, but that's not enough for it.
And that was kind of one of the problems we see with the Team Liquid team competition, because you want to say, hey Piglet, why are you in the front as you're running towards it? But then you have to think, well, who else would be the front? Because nobody is a tank. The tankiest member would be Lorlo, so probably him, but it's not as clear as when you have a more standard team composition. So that's why EnVy is forcing that Baron so aggressively, because they do not want to let Team Liquid set up a 1-3-1, and Team Liquid is naturally disadvantaged if they are forced into 5v5s as they were there.
Yeah, and Lorlo is just not that tanky there either. I mean, he's had 2 damage items and then some armor and a bit of health as we'll watch this fight again. EnVy stayed a while on this Baron, but knew they had to commit to the fight.
Yeah, and Seraph just jumps in at the front. They have the... Soon they will have an acceleration gate, or at least they had it to start that initiation, and it helps them run them down with the Braum and the rest of their CC. There it is. Too late.
Well, no kill on the backhand for Team Liquid, so EnVy just take a free kill and go straight back to Baron. I mean, Team Liquid have shown more than enough willingness to fight them for this objective, so EnVy, I think, actually doing it kind of correctly and just continually going back to Baron.
I mean, as long as Team Liquid doesn't have a side lane prepped, EnVy can force them to get a 5v5 here, and that also prevents Team Liquid from prepping the side lane, so they're going for it one more time. Probably forcing another fight.
All right, DPS a little lower here. Apollo and Hako are knocked up by the Baron. EnVy might be committing to actually take it down, but Rainover could get in there. Piglet actually the target. They want to chase him down. Seraph gets Lolo, and Apollo with another good 3-man ulti. Gets AoE down. Piglet now trapped. He's going to get exhausted and stunned up by Braum. Seraph kicks a few out. Lyra on a killing spree. EnVy just keep getting pickoffs.
Yeah, and they have the tank lines, and Team Liquid is unable to pull away from this Baron trap. As long as EnVy is tanking the turret with the people with lots of armor, they won't take much damage. It's going to be a little tricky here with Seraph being low, but he can teleport back in, and it would be a 5v4. Lorlo's also going to try and stop it, though. Here we go.
Ultimate could spell disaster here. Lola going to set it up. Lyra tagged already. There's the shutdown for Lolo. Hookshot going to land. He fights Ninja for the stun. A Double If gets a snipe. Now Hako is the next target. Lolo still eating a little too much damage on the front side as Seraph finally makes it back, but Jin snares up Apollo. Double If making this easy cleanup for Lolo. Hako goes down as well as Lolo grabs the double, and Seraph looks to be the final one left for the ace for Team Liquid. He's going to try and get a trade kill. Burns his flash to take out Rainover, but he's just dead here. Rainover barely going to make it out alive, and there's the ace for Team Liquid.
Well, that got real bad real fast for EnVy. It was looking good until Seraph was in base while they started the Baron. EnVy needed the Poppy to frontline for them. Otherwise, everyone else can just get run down by that Camille, and that's what felt like happened as Team Liquid blow the game wide open.
Yep, you can see now, huge gold lead finally opened up for TL as he just didn't have help for this.
Yeah, and this is what happens as well when they've tried the play so many times in a row. They never reset to gain their health, so the Jin ult opens up, basically kills him right away. Lorlo then has total freedom as Seraph is trying to like cruise in from the side late in the fight. Miscoordination by EnVy, allowing for an easy cleanup by Team Liquid, and boy, did they clean up.
Yeah, Lolo and Double kind of running over EnVy in this team fight here. Seraph slowly but surely goes down. Not sure why he committed the flash there either. Very greedy to try and get a trade kill in a situation where you are 99% dead. But
yes,
Seraph went for it. Not going to have the summoner as Team Liquid. Now with the Baron, going to try and shove it down some lanes.
Yeah, and they have the Guardian Angel as well as the buildings of a Giant's Belt and
oh no, Matt! No! By Seraph tries to Apollo. Team Liquid, why are you in EnVy's jungle? Apollo ults on a Double If for a bit of poke.
Team Liquid had all the setup they needed.
I know.
Until Matt died. They had the Baron, the tanky Camille, the team that had just overcommitted, plus the Baron buff, and a setup for the 1-3-1. Team Liquid would have wanted to set up Vision in that jungle, push the mid lane and the bot lane at the same time, and then use Ryze and Camille to focus collapses where EnVy can't get grouped. But because Matt moved well forward while they didn't have any vision of EnVy before they were forced to commit to a lane. It completely shuts the push down, and they now have to reset.
Yeah, gonna delay it. Matt is still dead. Gonna be up soon though, and he's gonna run back down to join his teammates. Team Liquid continuing to apply pressure. Lawler's getting nose waves shoved into bottom lane. TL's got mid, and looks like top wave is close. I think it's in EnVy's favor, but someone might dip up there and change that around. Kind of hard to see on the minimap alone, but see if EnVy can defend these pushes. 1:30 left on the Baron, and Team Liquid do need to get some gold off this.
Yeah, you want a strong Baron power play, but they have already taken down a decent number of the turrets in this game, sitting at 4. They should be getting a push going, you'd think, in the top side, unless their mind is set that they can just win team fights. Curious how double of shot calling would factor into this, as they're going to just try and brute force up mid.
Yep, this first turret should be pretty straightforward. Does go down. And looks like the top wave is actually prepped nice and slowly, so Team Liquid can get up there. They've still got a minute left. I mean, bot will be pushing for them as well, I think, although it might have just reset. TL kind of have all the tools they need to get something done here. Yes, Matt did delay the play by face checking into EnVy's jungle and getting himself killed, but certainly not been the cleanest game. But Team Liquid might still find themselves with a win here if they can do the requisite amount of damage with Baron.
Yep, they're feeling like they're advantaged in a 5v5, which is why they're seeming to group up like this. I'm still thinking Lorlo should be pushing mid lane, and they should be playing a little bit of at least a 4-1 game because of the mobility they have in their solo lanes.
Yeah, looks like Lolo actually tangling with Sarah. Gonna call Lyra over, and Apollo's actually in there as well. So this should be an easy tier 2 turret for Team Liquid. It's gonna get harder to take the inhibitor turrets, and with Baron dropping in 20 seconds, I don't think they're gonna get any here, but Team Liquid have maybe a wave left to try and push this in.
Yeah, also very hard to push against Ziggs Jace. Tremendous wave clear. You see it on display there.
Team Liquid decide not to overcommit. Just take the 2 turrets they got. They're now 6 turrets to 3, taking all the outers plus the tier 2. So it's just that base to break, but with Baron buff now dropping, EnVy can reset the map a bit. Sure, they're 6,000 gold behind, which isn't ideal, but things will get better as the game goes on, and EnVy at least stop the game from ending.
Yeah, and just recapping, it was very close before the Baron. 6 minutes ago, EnVy was potentially winning the game and dictating a little bit to Team Liquid, but they tried the Baron play one too many times. Kind of backfired, and now you're looking at Lorlo, who's in a position to kind of carry this game. As long as he can eliminate Apollo at the start of the fight, he's fully itemized for armor, and it's going to be nigh impossible for Lyra and Ninja to kill him in a swift fashion.
Pretty big Baron power play as well for Team Liquid. Up 3,200 gold after it all. Elder Dragon also on the table, so I think Team Liquid trying to play this a little more textbook and just take the big objectives off the map. Lolo getting bottom lane going as well, as he's going to move down there with his teleport ready. EnVy trying to force something. Double X is pretty squishy if Apollo can find the damage with his burst.
Exactly. The main thing Team Liquid have to worry about is all clumping up for a Ziggs and a Jace combo, but if they can avoid that happening and spread out the fight, it should be pretty okay.
Yeah, Redemption unlock it there for Matt's going to help versus a lot of that here. Rainover finds a Cocoon, but it's only onto Hakuo. They're going to go in for it though. Realm Warp going to try and fight him in, but Piglet's just using it as a bait. Lolo finally getting his way in there, but Hakuo takes so much damage and lives to tell the tale. Apollo deters him from coming through the choke with the ultimate. Team Liquid used a lot there, but didn't get very much.
Yeah, Hakuo and Apollo did lose ultimate, so that's a decent amount of counter engage gone if Team Liquid were to try another initiation, which they may, as the Elder Drake is pulling EnVy in.
Lolo trying to bait someone in. Hakuo now going to get bursted down. Damage is there. Not quite. Does finally get him, but I think Rainover, no, didn't quite die. Making it close though as Lyra getting chased on by Piglet, as Piglet's just now going to rampage through the back end of the fight. Double flashes over the wall. He already took out the Poppy. He wants to get Apollo as well. Team Liquid, a 4-0 team fight win.
And they have a minion wave in the top side. Only one person remaining, which is Apollo. Pretty good wave clear, but Matt's caught him.
Trying to lock him down, but Apollo should be able to seal the deal. Apollo goes down. There's the ace. And now the base going to get broken.
Yeah, and that was just Team Liquid removing EnVy's counter engage spells with the first engage, then pulling them into the Elder Drake with the second one, and getting the team fight they needed.
Team Liquid going to rush in for the game now. They break the top in here, but they're going to take the Nexus turrets with the EnVy still not up. 5 seconds left. Hakuo can make it back in, but the damage is too much. Team Liquid will take the first Nexus and go up in the series versus EnVy.
All right, so the first win with this new Team Liquid roster comes against EnVy in Game 1. Still have to be able to win the series, so a little bit of happiness from Team Liquid. but they still need to remain focused for the rest of the series.
Certainly do, but a very strange game one, kind of subdued. We didn't expect that from either of these teams. EnVy has looked pretty explosive in the early game generally, and certainly with Piglet and Doublelift on the roster, Team Liquid has been playing aggressively in their lanes, but the first 10-15 were quiet. It was a very close game until about 20-25, and then it really just was that one Baron play that broke the game completely open.
Yeah, and EnVy's early to mid game was pretty good,
yeah,
once again, but it really just fell apart as soon as they started to go for the macro plays. We've seen this story again and again. Lorlo, before the game, said it was probably going to be a competitive series. That was a competitive game. Those teams battled it out for most of it. It's just once Lorlo got the stacking armor and the 6 kills onto Camille, he seemingly could do whatever he wanted.
Looked pretty good there. We are going to throw it over to the analysts though to see what they make of that Liquid win.